hello to my friends on YouTube. If you are watching this, we are 3 days before our TikTok ban. And if you're watching in the future, hey, I guess you learned what happened. Hectic time for us, though. Scary time for us. But I think that we will. I think that we'll survive this. I think that it's too big of a vacuum, and the answer is not going to. The answer is not going to be looking into another Chinese app. I think that the answer is going to be that there is some kind of stay of execution, and then something else is figured out in that time. I think that this was a giant game of chicken played by many, many people. And I think that everybody is starting to realize that they can't play that game of chicken. And, hopefully this place doesn't close down in a few days. But you know what? None of us can really control it. And in one of the things that I talk about as a coach all the time is that we can't control things most of the time, and we cannot let them get to us too much if we can't control them. I am absolutely scared to death about what this means to my business. But in the grand scheme of things, I can't decide what happens to TikTok. So I'll find another app, and I will keep going, just like everybody else will. Life moves forward. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Josh. I was a porn addict for 24 years. I was also an alcoholic for 22 years. I have now been clean and sober for nearly 11 years, and I have been relapse-free the entire time. I entered this space about 8 years ago as an author and a presenter. 5 years ago, I decided to become certified as a pornography addiction coach and as a betrayal trauma coach. Later on, I got certified as a therapeutic disclosure specialist. I am here today to answer any questions you may have about pornography addiction. I'm also capable of answering any questions you have about addiction in general, about betrayal trauma, about trauma in general, and about communication, building communication and trust in relationships. So please, hopefully this won't be one of the last times that we are together. I certainly hope that's not the case. But if that is the case, let's make the best of it. I hope that if any of you are having issues and you've ever had any questions, you'll go ahead and ask them tonight. Or you'll share your story tonight, because who knows how many more days we have on here. I'm going to go ahead and answer the number one question that I always get. And that number one question is, how do I quit? How do I quit? And that answer is fairly simple in theory, very difficult in practice. And that is that you have to find your motivation. You have to find your must. Why must you quit porn? Why must you quit porn? What is it going to do if you don't? What will it take away from you? How will it change your life for the worse? You want to avoid that. So what do you do? Well, you have to figure it out. What is that must? What is that must? Hey, Mr. Smoothie Buns. It's been a crazy couple days. I've been very, very busy. I have been doing lots of sessions. I've been trying out a bunch of new social media apps. I don't know if you saw about, my debacle into Red Note in any of my videos, but I would urge you not to use Red Note unless you're willing to translate everything you find on there, because I found some scary freaking stuff. You can go view some of my most recent videos and learn about it. But ultimately, I'm doing fine, and I'm going to keep doing. I'm going to keep going. Whether it's YouTube or Clapper or Blue Sky, I'm going to keep going. Wow, P Boogie, Teresa, gift. Thank you so much for the gifts. Appreciate that very much. And I'll remind you all, if this goes away in 3 days, you don't need to keep any of your tokens for gifts. You can throw them my way and I can still cash out afterwards. Let's go to these comments. Number one, P Boogie asks, why does our mind try to negotiate with the habit, like saying, I'll quit tomorrow or another day? That's a great question, P Boogie. And what happens is that your brain actually changes over time. As your brain recognizes that this becomes your go-to coping mechanism, as it learns that it helps you, or you believe it helps you in so many situations, your brain literally changes itself. Thank you, Jet, baby. Thank you. Your brain literally reconfigures. Our brains are always trying to take care of us. Our brains are always trying to make things easier for us. And basically, your brain learns that flooding itself with dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, all of these pleasure chemicals, well, that is what makes you feel so darn good. So your mind tries to negotiate that you want to quit when you're not in the middle of the intoxicated high that using this stuff gives you. Think about it. When you are into a session of using pornography, aren't you more apt to look at something that's very unique or very hardcore, where in the middle of the day, if you're not into this at all, you wouldn't even want to see that? That's because as you're flooding your mind with dopamine and all those other chemicals, they are impairing your judgment, just like alcohol will do, just like a lot of drugs will do. Your brain is being impaired. So it's like when you are not drunk, let's say you're an alcoholic. Well, you're not drunk 24/7, hopefully. If you're an alcoholic and you aren't drunk at a moment, you should quit. It's a good idea to quit. It's not helping you. But then when you get the triggers, whatever it may be, too much anxiety, too much stress, bad day, whatever it may be that triggers you, when that happens, your brain doesn't say, well, let's talk about healthy ways to fix this. Your brain is wired to say, let's go to this stuff. We know this is going to make us feel good. So that's basically the reason there, P Boogie, is because your mind wants that stuff when it's feeling a certain way. And it is going to fight against you at those times. You'll have a clean, rational brain when you're not using, just like the alcoholic. But when you are using, all bets are off. All bets are off. I am going to answer all the questions. Please tap up the likes. Please tap up the likes. If something horrible happens and this goes away in a couple days, we've only got like 72, 80 or 80 hours left until this thing goes away. Tap up the likes. Maybe somebody new will hear this today. Maybe somebody new will start on their journey. So please tap up the likes. If you have anything you want to share, today's the day to do it. Please, please, please. Today's the day to do it. If you've been ever holding back, when I look at the algorithm, or when I look at the analytics after this is done, I often see people here an hour and a half, and never say a word. Today's the day. Say a word. Say hello. So please tap up the likes. Please share if you're hearing anything decent, and please follow me, because you never know if this does stay. You're going to want to continue following me. So please, and of course, anything I can do for you, let me know. Jet Life Baby says 2 days sober. Phew, that's fantastic. And a lot of people, will look at that who have a lot more days and say, well, that's nothing. Or a lot of people will say, I can do 2 days. Well, great, then do it. Do it. And then try to do 3, and then try to do 4. Because you've got to remember, I know that 2 is a small number. 3 is a small number. I am somewhere over 3,900 days. But I had a day 2. I had a day 1. I had a day 3 and 4 and 5. These are the toughest days, obviously. But I certainly hope that you will continue on, Chat Life, baby. You know what? Progress is progress, and I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you for doing that. A lot of people joining. Good to see everybody here. Glad you are here. Mooney's Creation, thank you very much for the gift. Just looking for comments. I fall behind. I'm sorry. XLR8 says TikTok's not getting banned. I hope you're right. Earlier, it sounded like it would simply be a matter of it cannot be updated in an app store, which big deal. I can't tell you the last time I updated this app. But Reuters, literally before I came on here, I saw on LinkedIn that Reuters is reporting that TikTok plans to shut down on Sunday, which business-wise may make sense. Business-wise may make sense. Because you will get people in an outrage. And if you get people in an outrage, Washington will listen. And there are other options out there for people saving it. And let's not forget, Donald Trump is going to be inaugurated on the 20th. There's a lot that he can do. So we may be shut down for a day and that's it. We'll see. Nobody knows. XLR, it says, for real, I'm excited. D Major, thank you for following me. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. Appreciate you being here. Welcome. Mr. Smoothie Buns says, I'm still battling this. I'm trying to pack my schedule on weekends to keep myself busy. Weekends are tough. Weekends are among the toughest days of the week because you have a routine on weekdays. Whether you are going to school, whether you're going to work, you probably, a lot of your weekdays are probably very similar. I remember when I was in rehab and the only way you could tell what day of the week it was basically what was being served for dinner. And there is something comforting for those of us who are addicts in a routine. It makes our brain not have to work hard, like I was just talking about earlier. Our brain likes autopilot. And during the week, autopilot is much easier than the weekends because autopilot involves repetitive behavior. Autopilot involves routines. Autopilot is all about patterns. And then you hit the weekend, well, what? You don't wake up at the same time, if you're not working. You don't wake up at the same time. You don't go to bed at the same time. Different stuff is on TV. Different people are available to hang out with. Usually there are different events happening around you. And for most people, that's a wonderful break. For the healthy among us, that's like, ooh, the weekend's coming. A lot of us who have addiction issues or a lot of us who have mental health issues. I've got bipolar disorder. The weekends can be very challenging. But, you can do it. You can do it, Smoothie Buns. 2 weeks free, feeling more confident already. Good for you, Gift. That's awesome. You should feel confident. 2 weeks is not a short amount of time when you're talking about an addiction like this. And when you hit 3 weeks, that is when most scientists, researchers will say your brain, I'm going to sneeze here. Excuse me. That is when most researchers say your brain actually starts the process of resetting, realigning, of changing those neural pathways. So keep going, Gift. You're doing well. Brendan says, I can't stop. What do I do? Well, first, you don't tell yourself that story. Of course you can stop. What makes you so special, Brendan? I stopped after using for 24 years. I stopped at the same time that I quit alcohol after 22 years. I saw plenty of people when I was in rehab and early recovery get well, still well today. In the 5 years I've been coaching, I've seen plenty of people get well who said they couldn't. The question is, do you really want to quit? Do you actually want to quit? Because yeah, okay, you know what? It would be a good idea if you quit. It would be a good idea if everybody quit. It'd be a good idea if I didn't drink so many damn Celsiuses and had caffeine, instead of blood. However, you have to be, I could quit caffeine if I wanted to. I don't want to. I'm brutally honest with myself. It's time for you to be brutally honest with yourself. You can stop, but why aren't you? Isaac 050998, thank you for following me. Where are you going to be at now, Coach? Well, I'm certainly not going to be at Red Note because I'm just not a big fan of communist government apps, and that's what it is. Go watch my videos of the last 48 hours if you're unsure of that. I am going to be on Blue Sky. I am going to be on Clapper. I urge you to try Clapper. It's as close to TikTok as you're going to find out there. It is a little bit more toward the conservative side of things, but I think when more people flow in, that'll get balanced. More people, more diverse opinions. I like Clapper a lot. I really do. I've got my YouTube page also at That Corn Coach. You can find me on LinkedIn. But yeah, I would focus. I'm also on Lemonade, but we don't know what's going to happen with that either. So I'm probably what I've been thinking of doing is creating a link tree. And, I'm not an OnlyFans girl, but I've been considering creating a link tree that has all the new places so people can follow along. And of course, it's also very crucial to follow me on my website, thatcorncoach.com. Bookline, what the hell does that mean? Bookmark, thatcorncoach.com. You should be able to, find me easy enough. All right, Teresa, I'm glad you're here. I hope you'll be here for a very long time, beyond Sunday. The trauma I've been through for the last several years with betrayal has caused me to ask, with that said, I think you wrote something that didn't get through. Did you say something between has caused me to ask? And then the next line I get is, with that said, I don't know if you missed something in between or if it blocked it out. I don't want to tell you, but if you can write what that second one is, trying to adjust your wording, I will read them in the correct order. Please click up the likes. Please click up the likes. That gets us into the algorithm more. That gets us into the suggested lives more. You never know. You never know who is going to see this. You never know who needs to see this. If you're watching on the FYP page and you haven't clicked through, please do. Come hang out with us. Safe place. It's a safe place, I promise. And it's a great place to talk about this stuff. It's a great place to talk about this stuff. Please share. Please follow. If you need any one-on-one help, if you are interested in working with me one-on-one, and I've had a great influx of clients over the last week or two from all over the world, I would love to meet up with you. I would love to help you out. Just visit the front page of the profile, and up at the top, there are links, and one of them says Calendly. That's the one. Okay, Teresa. Let me go back and try to figure this out. The trauma I've been through for the last several years with betrayal has caused me to ask, we don't know what that is. With that said, he's always open and honest, but he eventually gets frustrated and upset because he hates talking about it, because it reflects upon himself poorly, because it causes him to have shame. It causes him to be embarrassed. It causes him to feel bad about himself. And it also may dig up things that he doesn't want to have to face and has not accepted the fact that he is going to have to face them and deal with them if he's going to get better. It's not surprising he hates talking about it. I see a lot of guys at first who hate talking about it. But then, like I said, I had a client for the second time today, and he's like, that first session, I didn't want to do this, but you were so straight ahead. You made me think of things in different ways. You didn't make me feel bad. I'm glad to be back today. Teresa, if he needs anything, I hope you do have me bookmarked somewhere, in case I can help you in the near future. It does upset people. It is a shameful thing. We are raised, and you guys are in the age group that I am, when we were raised to porn is for perverts. Porn is not for decent people. And a lot of us who are older still carry that. Younger people have a different attitude towards sex and nudity than you and I do. The 18 to 25 group has a very different outlook. It may be a little too loose. It may be a little too open. The pendulum may have swung too far the other way, maybe from the 1950s. But a lot of us who grew up in the 70s or 80s have been raised to believe that, there's something wrong with you if you use porn. And there's certainly something wrong with you if you're addicted to it. All right. Hello, Dev. Unk, how do I stop stroking my bone? I don't know. Wear mittens? I'm kidding. How do you make the decision not to? You make the decision not to. You make the decision to do something else. If you feel the urge to masturbate, go hang out with people. Odds are, if you're hanging out with people, you won't look at it, and you won't look at the porn, and you probably won't self-pleasure in front of them. Leave the house. Find another activity that's going to distract you. That's what you should be doing. And look at your routines. When are you using? Where are you using? Why are you using? Disrupt those routines. Kit Kat says, I enjoy coffee. I used to too, but then it started to tear up my insides, like my esophagus. And when I would try to sleep at night, I'd get really bad heartburn. So I have moved over to high caffeine teas. And I have also moved over to specific energy drinks that don't do that, and Celsius doesn't do that to me. I feel coffee doesn't affect me as much as other things. It may not, it may not. It doesn't have fake things in it, like, let me look here, like taurine. The F is taurine. They all have these, special ingredients to keep you alert. Usually coffee is very natural, so I could understand that feeling differently. Can I get play while recovering with a female? Yes. As long as you are not having a series of one-night stands to just get off. Because then you're probably just using a woman the way that you would use porn. But no, there's a completely different set of machinations happening in the brain, in other parts of the body, when you are with a real partner. I have a lot of people say to me, hey, PMO, pornography, masturbation, orgasm. I'm going to stay away from PMO for 90 days. And I said, well, definitely stay away from the P and M, and stay away from the O if it's self, satisfaction. But if you are with a partner, especially a partner you've been with a long time, you need to probably work on your intimacy. And I'm not just talking about sexual intimacy. I'm talking about emotional intimacy. If there's one thing I have learned talking to men and women about their sex lives, whether they are good or bad, wherever they are, and I've talked to a lot of people about them, the one thing that I always find that the woman truly wants is vulnerability. She wants to feel special. She wants to feel like the only one in your life. Screwing is easy, but can you make that deeper connection? Can you make that deeper connection? So that's your answer there, Chris. I hope that helps. And good luck getting laid. Calvin Bowman 205. Thank you for following me. Very much appreciated. Dev, read a book. That's perfect. That's perfect. Where am we here? Where am we? Wow. Please remember, if this place does shut down in a couple days and you still have tokens, you still have coins or whatever, please throw them my way, because it turns out I can still cash out later. Yeah. Look at the end of the night. I don't know what that means. Facts. Yes, Kit Kat. Dev says, appreciate it, Unc. Are you by chance African? Like from Africa? That's the only time I've had people call me Unc, when I've been on podcasts as a guest. Here's an interesting thing. The number one country I've been on podcasts on is obviously the US. The number two is the UK. And what's number three? Canada, Ireland, France, Australia? No, it's Nigeria. It's Nigeria. All right. Hi, Sinead. When does it get to the point of being an addiction rather than habitual usage? Well, an addiction is kind of a habit that has gone negative. A habit is simply a repeated behavior that involves a reward. For instance, and it's a million different rewards. Like, let's say in the morning you go to work. You pick a specific way to go to work. Why do you choose that way? Well, maybe it's the quickest to get you there. Or maybe you go by Starbucks and you can get your coffee drink. Or maybe you have to go that way because you're dropping your kid off at school before you go to work. But you probably go the same way every day. And you choose that way because there is some kind of reward. I can bring Timmy to school and drop him off. I get my tasty drink. I get there fast. There's a reward for all of that. Look at the gym. The first week or two you try to go back to going to the gym, it is tough. It is like dragging molasses into the gym. It is tough to get going. Usually after 3 or 4 weeks, you're into it. You're looking forward to it because you're getting the positive rewards from it. With an addiction, the positive rewards, your brain tells you they're positive, but they aren't. And Sinead, if you're wondering if this is for you or a partner or whoever, if you check out my front page, there is a video called The 11 Symptoms of Porn Addiction or Corn Addiction. The top, right at the top where you pin videos. Go check that out. That lists the 11 symptoms of corn addiction, and you can figure out for yourself if you are one. Teresa says, I asked him about his past experiences with females, and he always realizes because of corn, he was always unable to have a normal relationship. I can certainly understand that. There were some girlfriends I absolutely had to hide it from. There were some girlfriends who didn't care. There were some girlfriends who wanted to watch. And the ones who liked porn, the ones who were really into it, our sex was probably far more about objectifying each other. And what's interesting is that if you look at statistics about divorce and porn, you are twice as likely to get divorced if you introduce pornography into the relationship to spice it up. And this article is probably over a year old now, but I was reading an article where they interviewed several lawyers, marriage and divorce lawyers, and they said that in a survey, more than 50% of divorce lawyers now say that that pornography use comes up as an issue in divorces. So, yeah, it can stop you from having a normal relationship. Absolutely. And it's too bad that he's like that. It's too bad that he's like that. Hopefully, he wants to get through this. Just by quitting, He needs to get through that trauma of not being able to have a normal relationship because something caused him to use the corn. Something made him prefer seeing pictures of people on a phone or on a computer versus being someone for real. Maybe that was fear. Maybe that was anxiety. Who knows? But it sounds like he doesn't even fully know the depths of it, and he's not going to heal until he does. Thanks, big bro. You are welcome, my friend. Thanks for being here, Chris. Q Adams, good to see you. 15 days. I literally been thinking about it all day, and I'm on the verge of doing it. Why? Let's think about 2 hours from now. How are you going to feel if you do it? How are you going to feel if you do it? Probably horrible. What is it going to solve? Nothing. How are you going to feel that your 15 days going back to 2024 is ruined? I say this all the time on here. What is your motivation? This is the day you have to go back to that. What is going to stop you tonight? Do you have a partner who you don't want to find out about this? Are you afraid you won't get a partner in the future? Is it about your health, mental or physical? Is it about your job? Is it about you're starting to view women or men in a different way? You know, if I could reach out and hold your hands down and, distract you, I would. And you can keep watching this and be distracted. But what are you going to see you haven't seen before? Vaginas, penises, boobs. We've all seen thousands of them those of us who are addicts. And you know that's not going to fix anything. Please don't use Q Adams. Fight it. Fight it. Thank you, all of the suits of the deck, for becoming the number 3 gifter. I appreciate that very much. Them chemicals in the brain, though. Yeah, it's amazing how they rule us. And that's what people need to recognize. Food addiction doesn't take place here. Sex and porn addiction doesn't take place down here. It all takes place up here. This is where it all lives. This is where it all lives. And this is what you have to fix. Even if it's not working down there, this is what you have to fix. Ed, do you take appointments to give personal advice? That's my living, my friend. And I'll reintroduce myself in a moment. But I can tell you, if you want information on meeting with me, visit the front page of my profile. Up at the top, you'll see a link that says Calendly, and you can click on that and get all the information that you need. And you could also go to That Corn Coach, and there's a link there. But absolutely, I take appointments. This is my job. This is my life. And to think about cheating like imagining it, yeah, that crosses a line for a lot of people. He was introduced to magazines at a very young age. Dude, I remember, I've never told this story here, but, what the hell. The day that I became a porn addict, I was at my uncle and his family rented a large cottage at a beach here in Maine. Known as Old Orchard Beach. It's one of the more famous beaches in Maine, just south of Portland. And they rented a place, and we live where I lived with my parents, we lived about 40 miles away. So we went down for the day to visit them, and we were in the large cottage, and my older cousin, 2 or 3 years older, so I was 12, he was 15, he said, come upstairs. Okay, so we go up to his little room, and he goes into the closet, and he pulls out 3 or 4 magazines. I'm pretty sure they were Penthouse or Hustler, and I'm sorry if this is triggering anybody. And he said, check these out. And I got to tell you, I opened up one of the magazines, and I saw a man and a woman on a tennis court in various sexual ways, and I was hooked. It didn't take me a long time to develop a porn addiction. It took me probably 3 pages of a magazine. it did something for me in a way nothing ever had before. Maybe that was my first big dopamine rush. Maybe that was my first big oxytocin rush. Who knows? But I was addicted that day. I didn't want to spend time at the beach. I wanted to be back at the cottage looking at that stuff. Every time I'd see him, even back at his house in a different part of Maine, I'd always ask if he had them. It wasn't until 2 years later that I actually found a video store that would rent them to me, rent videos to me and didn't care. But that is, Teresa Kit Kat, that is actually absolutely how it happened for me as well. That's absolutely how it happened for me. And, being drunk was the same thing. When I was 14, I was ironically at another cousin's wedding, his older sister, I think the first of 3 weddings she's had. And the reception hall, I'm guessing they thought more people would be there or something, but there were empty tables, and at every table they had pre-poured champagne. So as this thing's going along, people are dancing, people aren't paying attention. I'm walking in the back at these empty tables, and I'm just, this champagne is good. This is like ginger ale with a kick. And I had probably 5 or 6, and suddenly I started feeling different. And I remember, despite, obviously being intoxicated, I had this feeling of, this is why people drink. This is why people drink. I'm happier. I want to go dance. I'm having a great time. And from that day forward, pornography and alcohol for the next 22 years were my go-to, were my crutches. That was absolutely, wasn't some crazy process for me getting addicted. It was just being introduced to these substances. Teresa says, I met him in 1985 as a 16-year-old. Well, I was only 9 in 1985, 40 years ago. Wow. I met him in 1985 as a 16-year-old. We were friends for 4 years, but there was always something. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun when there's something there and there's just that energy and that good tension? And yeah, that's such a good feeling. I love that. Thank you, Mason Lehman. You've just got the number 3 gifter badge. Thank you for all of you who are gifting me. If we're heading out of here in a few days, now's the time to drop your coins. Now's the time to follow me. Now's the time to share this video or this stream. And I want to thank you all for being here. I promised that person that I would reintroduce myself, so I'm going to do that now very quickly. My name is Josh. I was a porn addict 24 years, as I just mentioned. I was an alcoholic 22 years. I have been clean and sober now for almost 11 years, and I have been relapse-free the entire time. I started in this area as a presenter, a speaker, and an author. I've written 4 books. I also am... I've also done a TED Talk. I've been interviewed by plenty of media. But 5 years ago, I became a full-time coach. And I love being a pornography addiction coach. I love being a betrayal trauma coach. And I love being a therapeutic disclosure specialist. So what I can do is I can help the addict. I can help the partner who is feeling betrayed and hurt. And I can help both of them work on the relationship, work on communication, work on trust. So that's what I'm good for. Not much in this world, but that's what I'm good for. If you need to see me at all, check out the link on the front of my profile. Q Adams, I'm just stressed out. Dude, I hear that this week. This has been probably the most stressed out week I've had in a long, long time. Everywhere I turn, things are going wrong. I have been drinking way too much caffeine, so I'm on edge. I have barely been sleeping. It's been a challenging week, so I get about being stressed out. I didn't want to do this video tonight if there wasn't the risk of, or this stream, if there wasn't the risk of this going away on Sunday, I probably would have skipped it to keep that healthy work-life balance, but it's important to be here. And talk about this stuff. But you don't have to do it, Q Adams. Teresa says, uneasy that I felt about being alone with him. Why? Why? Was it a good uneasiness? Was it a butterflies in your stomach? I like this guy? Or was it there's something dark about this fella, but it's intriguing. Ed Rooney, full disclosure, what I watch is so hot to me, I don't think I'll ever be able to rid myself from it. Well, Ed, I would say that whatever you're watching that is so hot is not going to do it for you eventually. People who are porn addicts, their porn tastes evolve. Usually into more hardcore, usually into more unique niches, because like any addiction, tolerance is built, and you have to keep moving forward. The way that an alcoholic might start with beer, move to wine, and then move to the hard stuff, a porn addict may start with nude models, then move to people having vanilla sex, and then move to people having really weird sex. But here's the thing. If you tell yourself the story that you will never be able to be rid of it, you won't. You won't. But I would ask you, Ed Rooney, and I just want to remind you, with your back, you should not be throwing anybody. But Ed, you're not a unique snowflake. You really aren't. Anybody can successfully get through recovery if they want. I just don't know if you want to. I don't sneeze the rest of the day. I only sneeze doing this, and I don't know why. Ed Rooney, thank you for following me. Kit Kat, wow. Kit Kat says, those Playboys are my favorite, almost art, but not always natural. Well, that's what I grew up on. I mean, that's what I used in the beginning. It's a woman standing there. You know, when I was able to get my hands on porn at 13, it was a Playboy magazine, and that was it. Which Playboy magazines back then had about 40 still pictures per issue. There was never guys in there. Now, an 8-year-old can find super hardcore porn. If they know how to spell boobs, if they know how to spell sex. Those aren't very tough vocabulary words. They are seeing stuff that is so over the top. Any corn website is blocked from my phone. Excellent. And my friend only can unlock it. I think you might have mentioned that the other day. That is a great first step. That is a fantastic first step. But why are you having these urges? What are you going to do instead? Why did you become a porn addict? Why did you need this stuff? How did this become your coping mechanism? What fear or anxiety were you facing back in the day? And how has pornography shaped you as a human being? How did you get to who you are today? These are all questions we talk about in coaching, because this is ultimately what is going to heal you. Pornography use, pornography addiction, all addiction is a symptom of a bigger problem. And that bigger problem is being unable to regulate your emotions, your feelings in a natural way. Being able to handle the world on the world's terms. That's what you have to learn how to do. Thank you, Q Adams, for becoming the number 2 gifter. 3 days clean. Excellent, Stick. Excellent. I remember yesterday, if I remember, I believe it was 2. But thank you. Bills, thank you for becoming the number 2 gifter. It's nice to see a race here. Now is the time to get his book. Well, my books will still be available on Amazon, on my website. I'm trying to work on a 5th one. I'm also working on another product, but this whole where the hell are we going on TikTok, where the hell are we going if TikTok goes away thing has been weighing on me. And I have been, checking out different apps to see where to go next. So it's been a little bit busy. Where can we find you if TikTok is actually banned? Great question. Number one, Blue Sky. Blue Sky is number one. Number two is Clapper. Blue Sky is a lot like a new Twitter. Clapper is a lot like a new TikTok, although it's not that new. I've been on there actually for over a year. The closest thing to TikTok that I've seen and like is Clapper. And then finally, you can find me on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel that I just started. I think I've got about a dozen of these lives from the last month pinned up there. I have links to many of my podcasts. And I have a full course / podcast that I did with the partner of my second book. He's a Porn Addict Now What? So check out the YouTube, follow me on YouTube. And, I may myself start a new podcast if that's what it comes to. I'm trying not to be too freaked out about this. The scary part is that I get 75-80% of my clients through TikTok. So if that goes away, a big piece of my pie goes away, and that's pretty freaking scary as a businessman. So yeah, those are the places, and that corn coach, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Clapper, whether it's Blue Sky, that's how you can find me. And also thatcorncoach.com. What is the worst corn category? That's like saying what's the worst fruit, what's the worst vegetable. It's in the eye of the beholder. I would certainly say that illegal pornography is, the worst, whether, bestiality or child, type stuff, because that's illegal. But I would, people will come to me and say, like that guy who just said, there's something I like that's too hot. I have people who come to me and talk about all kinds of fetishes, all kinds of weird things that they like. Porn is porn is porn is porn. Addiction is addiction is addiction. If watching, grown men dress up as ballerinas is what gets you off, it's what gets you off. It's no worse than, watching two people screw on a beach. It really is just in the eye of the beholder. There is no worse. There is no best. Most damaging would be any type that makes you feel like you're part of the show. POV, point of view porn, where usually it's the guy holding a camera. JOI, which stands for jerk off instruction, might as well say it, where usually the female is talking to you through the screen as if you were there with her, instructing you how to self-pleasure. These can cause higher levels of chemicals. These can cause longer sessions because it's more intense since you feel like you're there. But it's really negligible. Butterflies, okay. But there was something creepy about him, too much touchy-feely. Well, maybe you didn't get that at home. Or maybe that was about the porn. I've looked at boobs for years. Now I'd like to touch some. I remember my first time. Well, I remember my second time touching them. The first time I touched them, I was, 6 years old, and it was, an adult woman. Next time I touched them, I was 15 years old, and it was my 15-year-old girlfriend. And, I was probably too touchy-feely if you asked her today. We also have the same birthday. We are 4 years exactly apart. That's cool. That's kind of cool. It was interesting. My best friend in high school, he and I were born the same day, same hospital. We found out that our mothers had actually had a couple conversations while they were there. Hey, Clue, good to see you. Good to see you. Very nice of you to ask how Teresa's doing. I like that. Catcher, thank you for becoming the number 3 gifter. But then Q Adams takes it back. But then Catcher takes it back. This is awesome. I love this. The only thing is I can't get Reddit off my phone. Why? Why can't you get Reddit off your phone? And if you don't want to see porn on Reddit, you don't have to. You really don't have to. But since you brought it up, I will mention Reddit is the 4th biggest porn site in the world. Most people don't realize it because it offers so much else, but it is the number 4 porn site in the world. Catching up with Catcher says, been off corn for a while, but still trying to figure out why I started in the first place. If I can help you, book a session. It took me a little while to really nail down the finer points of the trauma that I had. It takes a while. You have to think about it. You have to make connections. You have to understand. It's not just, but most people I can sit with for an hour and say, and go down this like flow chart in my mind and usually figure out what's going on. If I can help you with that, I would be happy to. Just to go to the front page of the profile and click on the link that says Calendly. Please keep tapping up those likes. Please keep tapping up those likes. I will hang out as long as I can. Apparently, they're extending the TikTok decision to 270 days. Is that official yet? I know that there's been a couple of Congress people, both Republican and Democrat, which is nice to see, that have given speeches warning about Red Note. But no, Red Note is not the, Red Note is not the closest thing to TikTok right now. Clapper is, and Red Note is scary dangerous. Here's the situation. I'll just say it very fast. Everybody is protesting TikTok going away because we're bothered that our government is trying to figure out how to make sure this isn't a security threat. So what do? Because we're either stupid or just really love irony? We go to a site that is run by the Chinese Communist Party. Those are the people that you don't want accessing your stuff. And you see all of these 18 to 30-year-olds, I'm going to learn Mandarin. This is great. This is wonderful. Go through the terms of service, which are all written in Chinese, and translate them. Or you don't have to do that because I did it for you. Go check out a couple of the videos I've posted in the last 48 hours. I translated Red Note's terms of service. And once I saw them, I got the fuck off of there in a hurry. And then they banned me, ironically. Stay the fuck off Red Note. Please. I'm sorry I'm falling behind. I'm going to answer questions quickly. If you just got here and you wrote something, I'm going to catch up. I know I'm behind. Please keep tapping up the likes. Please follow me. Please share if you like this. What is PIED? Hey, Jack. PIED stands for, it's an anagram. It stands for porn-induced erectile dysfunction. Basically, it is that you have used so much pornography that when you are with a real partner, a human partner, you either cannot get hard, cannot stay hard, or cannot have an ejaculation. That's it in a nutshell. Basically, the porn has messed with your pleasure receptors to the point that your real life partner doesn't do it for you anymore. Some people, they get fried to the point that they can't even function with porn. Teresa says, we married in 1991 and he's the love of my life. And since the betrayal, we are doing well, but do need, you said something else again and it got smashed up. Maybe you'd think TikTok would just let go of the censoring for a couple days. If you're saying you need help, I'm here for you. Show him some of these videos in the next few days. Go to my TikTok and you can see these lives. I'm the same freaking dude that I am in the lives, that I am in my sessions, that I am in the podcasts, that I am if you run into me at Walmart or Target. Q Adams says, I tried to, but I deleted the app. Smart move. Smart move. You do not want to let that into your phone. Jack asked, do you believe in God? Great question. I don't know that I believe in God, but I think it was the way I was raised. When I was writing my first book, I realized something. Because I would have told you I was a non-practicing atheist, which I just thought was funny, because I didn't care about that question. When I was writing my first book, I noticed that there were many times where I said, and then the universe just gave me the answer, or the universe gave me an idea. And I realized I don't like the word God. I like the word universe. And I do believe there is energy out in the universe. I do believe that there are a lot of questions we can't answer that scientifically we one day will be able to. That many miracles probably can be explained. But I do believe that there is some kind of founding order to everything. What does that mean exactly? I'm not sure. Do I study from a Bible or a Quran or anything like that? No. Do I go to a certain building on Saturdays or Sundays? No. But I do definitely have a spiritual side. And I am one of the most faith-filled people I know. Sahil, no corn at all this year. Well, you're 15 days into it. I want to hear more from you in a couple days, and you keep telling us how you're doing. No corn this year is awesome, dude. Very awesome. Q Adams, and that is the only thing I was using it for. Not gonna lie. I get it, dude. I get it. No PMO at all. 15 days strong so far. Excellent work. More than 2 weeks. I'm happy you're doing this, but just make sure you've got to figure out why did you start using this in the first place. And, spoiler alert, that's because you short-circuited your brain and you found this to be the way to deal with trauma, to deal with stress, to deal with other fears and negative emotions. Hagen Hoop, if I feel like it, what do I do not to do it? Well, you need to distract yourself. So let's say, Hagen, you know that you're going to use, or you're going to get triggered in the future. So be prepared for it. Be prepared to be triggered. Be prepared to have an urge. Can you go hang out with somebody? If you're around somebody you probably won't use. Can you find a place to go that's in public? If you're in public, you probably won't use. If you can't do either of those things, can you put your device somewhere that you can't access it? Because, hey, if you can't see porn, you can't see porn. And on top of all of that, ask yourself why you're doing this. What is it that viewing those images is really about? What is it really about? And get some help. Get some help. If I can help you, visit the front page of my profile and click on the Calendly link. What's Clapper? Asks XLR8. Well, if you go to your App Store, you will see it there. It's got an orange icon. I think it's a thumbs up. It is very much like TikTok, but in almost every way. The one thing I will say is that it doesn't quite have editing abilities that are as good as TikTok. It also does not. I've already been here an hour. What do you know? It also, at least from what I've witnessed to this point, it is much more, there is much more groupthink on there. And that groupthink tends to lean conservative, but it doesn't ruin it for me, who's very centrist. And also, I have a feeling if a lot more people join, it's going to become more diverse. But it's the app that I have liked the best so far. I do like Lemonade too, but I don't know if that's going to be around either. But check it out. And I see that Sahil says that I have a girlfriend, so that helps. Absolutely. Absolutely. Work more on your intimacy with her. And not just sexual intimacy. You know, work on being vulnerable. Work on feeling safe around her. You know, you're lucky to have a partner. Try starting to be healthy with her. Yes, Clue, thank you, but we do need therapy even after almost 3 years. Oh man, I wish I knew. I wish I knew who was a good coach you could go see. I love what you do. Thank you, Hugh Murphy. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. You know, these types of compliments are what do help me keep going on the lean weeks, on the tough weeks. Like I said, I've had a very stressful week. I think anybody who is a TikTok content creator or depends on TikTok for their business, like I do, is having a stressful week. It is actually affecting the way I sleep. I made that video last night, which was like, okay, forget about it. I can't control it. And I can't, and I'm reminding myself that. But I also can't help but be worried. What's next? I know I'll adapt, but it's the unknown we're afraid of. It's always the unknown we're afraid of. XLR8, I saw your video on Red Note, and I immediately deleted it. Yeah. Can you believe some of those things on Red Note? You know, when you look at their, it's not even called like rules. It's called values. It's called values, and it's stuff like you must promote socialism. You must promote the correct view of history. You must promote the family. You must promote the, culture of our great nation. This is what people are pissed off about our government doing, is censoring us from using TikTok, but we're going with open arms to the freaking Chinese Communist Party and saying, well, welcome. Can't wait to learn your language. What is the correct view of history? Did you know in China that they, to control populations over the last 100 years, have had forced abortions, have had forced sterilizations? Take a look at some of the human rights atrocities of the Chinese. Anybody remember this thing called, or you can look it up, Tiananmen Square, where they killed many students who were protesting? China is not Canada. And you go in, there are a bunch of lives on here now with very pretty girls. It's always a pretty girl. Because I'll teach you Mandarin. I'll tell you about Red Note. And the moment that you say something like, well, let's talk about the fact it's run by the Chinese Communist Party, they almost always say the same. I don't know anything about politics. This is just a wonderful app for friends. I've also heard people who are like, I like the app because everything, it controls our speech. We don't have to put up with certain things because they're illegal here. That's censorship. That's telling you what to think. You're cool with that? I'm not, but you do what you need to do. I'm glad you deleted it. Kit Kat with the applause. Stick says, I try to delete Red Note account. I don't trust it. Smart move. Hey, Couture, thank you for becoming the number 2 gifter. I know I'm behind. I'm going to catch up. Please keep... Jesus Christ. Please keep clicking up the likes. Please keep sharing. Please keep following me. And if you have any coins or tokens or however the hell you give gifts on here, if this does disappear, you are just wasting your money letting it go past Sunday. So feel free to give them to me. Every little bit helps. M. Hayek. How many months or years does it take to recover? If I watched from 12 to 21 and then quit. Unfortunately, Hayek, we don't know. There is no easy chart. Because this isn't like if you and I break our foot the same way, it's going to probably take around the same amount of time to heal, and we'll have to do the same kind of therapy, physical therapy, to get back on our feet. This is not the same with mental health issues. This is something that it really depends on a bunch of different factors. You've watched for 9 years. That's not a ton of time for a lot of people. You know, you quit when you're young, so you're probably more healthy. You're probably more active. That's going to help versus somebody who has been using for 30 years and lives a sedentary life. The most important things, though, are that you absolutely have to stop looking at the pornography, and you absolutely have to stop masturbation. That's not negotiable at all. Hugh Murphy says, I felt that when I first lost my virginity. I don't remember what the reference was, but that's okay. Therapy, help. Yep, I know a guy who can do that. Hey, Jack, if you ever are struggling with anything, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is there for you. What about Allah? What about Allah? Is he not there for me? What about Buddha? What if I read the Bhagavad Gita? What if I get on my knees and pray towards Mecca? I don't have any problem with religion. I just have people saying their religion is worse. It's like a sports team. We have the best buildings. We have the best imaginary friends in the clouds. If religion is going to be a foundation for you to recover, that is fantastic. That is awesome, and it very much helps with people. I've seen it completely up front. I know it helps. But I also know people who are atheists, people who are agnostics, can heal just as well, just as fast. You don't have to be a God person to heal from addiction. Already answered that, Hayek. I hope you can repent before it's too late. God bless and have a good night. You too, Jack. Thank you for being here. You too, Jack. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Charlie Gannon, thank you for following me. Nice to have you. Nice to have you. Hugh Murphy says, gotcha, man. Sticks says, hey, Sandra. That's why the likes are going up. Sandra's here. I hope our relationship isn't done after Sunday, Sandra, because, when the book is written on me at death, they're going to say Sandra gave him more likes than anyone. Quandale Dingle. That's an interesting name. Kind of sounds like a soap opera name. Is it okay looking at your... What, is it okay to... looking at your, so I know you can help with your, so many people don't have time to. I don't know what you're asking me. If you can reword that, Quandale, I would appreciate it, because I just can't make sense of it. Calvin Bowman says, question, if you have one, toss it forward, and thank you for becoming the number 3 gifter. Kit Kat says, for some people, bad things trigger addiction. I can't tell you any person who it isn't. Because addiction is a symptom of trauma. We develop addictions because we don't have the skills to handle what's happening. And it makes sense. At 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, you don't have a lot of skills to handle stress, to handle anxiety, or to just handle big things happening. Like, a close friend or a parent dying, or a divorce, or being bullied, or really bad trauma, like getting the crap kicked out of you by one of your parents, or being, sexually abused. When you're young, you don't have these these behavior management skills. That's why 99% of the people who I help have become porn addicts before the age of 16. Because that's when you don't have the skills. And then suddenly, oh my goodness, I can handle the world if I use this stuff. That's not what you think. All you think is, I like looking at naked people doing naked things. I'm going to keep doing that because it makes me feel good. And you equate what the content of what you're looking at to feeling good. When in all reality, you are just sparking a chemical reaction in your head. And that's what feels good. Thank you for following me, Jack. Like a breakup, a death, a stressful day? Absolutely. Absolutely. It can be so much. And here's the funny thing about trauma, and I'll answer your question in just a second, Calvin. The funny thing about trauma is just how different everybody reacts to it. You know, you could be, and if you've heard this before, forgive me, but you could be one of 3 triplets. And let's think of something horrible. Let's say that you are one of 3 triplets, you're 10 years old, you're you're taking a family walk down the street, and your mom and dad get mowed down by a car in front of you and are killed. That's pretty major. That's obviously going to be traumatic. Let's fast forward 20 years. You and your 2 brothers are all 30 years old. One of you may have no trauma. One of you may have a perfectly fine life. One of you may be moving forward in a healthy way. One of you may be institutionalized, need to live in a group home because you are so messed up by witnessing that you can't function in society. And then there's you somewhere in the middle. You all witness the same things. However, you all reacted to them differently. And that's the challenge with trauma. That's the challenge with anything that's mental health related. Anything that's brain, science related. Is that we just don't understand very much about this at some point. But we know this isn't like physical ailments where you can create expectations of how quickly it takes to get through this. Kelvin Bowman asks, is there any acceptable amount of use? That is a fascinating question. And the answer is, it depends who you are. Now, I'm not going to get into the morality of it. I'm not going to talk about the objectification. I'm not going to talk about the trafficking. I'm not going to talk about how people are treated within the industry. You have to reckon with those things in your own heart. However, the reality is that when it comes to women, of those who use pornography, only about 8 to 12% have addiction issues. When it comes to men, anywhere from 12 to 20% have addiction issues. Depends where you live, depends what study you look at, blah, blah, blah. Is there any acceptable amount of porn use? Not for an addict. No. Zero. Zip. Zilch. Nada. There is no acceptable porn use. Now, what about the people who aren't in that percentage? Well, realistically, and I don't love saying it, but realistically, yeah, they can watch porn sparingly. You watch porn once a month. You watch porn twice a month. It's not going to do the damage to you that looking every day or every other day, or certainly multiple times a day, is going to cause. And I liken it to this, is that there's a casino not far from my house. My wife and I go there probably 3 times a year. And then probably every 3-4 years I go to Vegas. I set very strict parameters on my gambling. I will lose $100 or I'll lose $50 or I will win $100. Those are my limits. Or I will set a specific amount of time that I'm going to play. Do I have the gambling gene? No, but I know to set my limits so I don't get going in that direction, because I can certainly understand why people become porn addicts. or sorry, become gambling addicts. So I watch myself, but I don't have a gambling problem. I don't have a gambling addiction. Should I never go to a casino because there is a portion of people who are gambling addicts? I don't think so. I don't want somebody to tell me I can't go to a casino because 1 out of 10 people through the door have a problem. There is an acceptable amount of gambling for me. I don't have the urges and triggers to use it, to go gambling. However, somebody who is a gambling addict should not step in a casino. It's the same thing with pornography. There are people, and more people than not, who can keep it under control, can use an acceptable amount, and it doesn't do any major physical or mental damage in the long run. But that said, like I said, you have to reckon with the morals of it, and if it aligns with your values. Teresa, thank you for your help. Definitely will keep following you on any platform if TikTok goes away. Thank you. And like I said a little bit earlier, I think you were here, is that tomorrow I have such a freaking full day. I don't even know if I'm going to get to do a live tomorrow. I'm going to try to find some time, even if it's just an hour, or maybe I'll do 2 1-hour chunks, but I am so freaking busy. Anyway, I'm probably going to create a link tree and list my socials on it so people can just go and easily follow. It seems to work for the OnlyFans girls. Maybe it can work for me. You know what I've also been thinking? I'm just going to throw this out there. I'd be curious what you guys think. I have been thinking about actually opening an OnlyFans page that is anti-pornography. Not anti-pornography, that is pornography addiction related. Making it free and just throwing up, data, just throwing up, not trying to make any money off of it, but, go to where the people have the problems. And maybe they will follow me there. Maybe they will get information they wouldn't get anywhere else. And don't worry, you're never going to see me without any clothes on, because Lord knows I don't want to see me without any clothes on. But it seems to me, hey, you go where the sinners are. You go where the people need help. Hi, Chris. Now that I experienced a partner with an addiction, I can almost sense an addict. Yeah, well, you can recognize patterns. And, it's funny because there were a lot of partners who tolerate their addict partner's behavior, or they like to believe they're telling the truth. They like to have a rose-colored glasses look to things. I have such low tolerance for addict bullshit that I think it helps a lot in my sessions that I have with people, because I can spot an addict lying. I can spot an addict lying, and I don't tolerate it because I was one. I know when I'm being worked, and I'm sure you've learned when you're being worked. I can't go through, over 500 clients, probably now over 600 clients, and not recognize some stuff. But yeah, I totally get that, Chris. Totally get that. That would be great. Do it. Thank you, Teresa. You telling me to consider OnlyFans is that kind of gives it a bit of a stamp for me, because it's always like, that's a little weird, but again, shouldn't you go where the problems are? Shouldn't you go where the problems are? Quandale, oh, you're back. Opinion on Irish bodybuilding, Fit City. I don't know what Fit City means. My opinion on Irish bodybuilding. I think it's cool when Irish bodybuilders cut their soap with a pocket knife. And I hope one person gets that reference. Nico Comandina. I like that. Nico Comandina. You sound like a kickboxer. Number 3 gifter badge. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Teresa got it. It's going to be those of us who are older and remember the commercial from the 80s. It's an Irish Spring commercial, and it's always Irish people always cut their soap with a pocket knife, and I don't know why. Even though I'm Irish, I'm Irish French with a little bit of Scottish, a little bit of English, but yeah, I'm mainly Irish French myself. But I don't use a knife to cut my soap. Have a good night. Your lives are great. Thank you, Nico. I appreciate that so much. Really appreciate that so much. And I'm going to be wrapping up here in the next 10, 15 minutes or so. I appreciate you stopping by. We've only got about a dozen people in here, and who knows how many more hours we have TikTok. So if there's anything you've ever wanted to ask, if there's anything that you've ever wanted to share, now is a great time. Now is a great time. If you believe that you may one day want to quit, or you may one day want to come see me to talk about your partner's problem, please bookmark thatcorncoach.com. Please follow me on other social medias. I'm not going anywhere. The app may go somewhere, but I'm not going anywhere at all. Aofe, however you're supposed to say it, thank you for following me. I appreciate that very much. When people follow me this week, it's almost like a glimmer of optimism that everything's going to be okay here. But we have to remember that even if TikTok goes away, we will be fine. We will be fine. What is the alternative for young men who don't work and don't have money to try and get help? I would say go to a 12-step group like Sex Addicts Anonymous or Sexaholics Anonymous. I would say if you don't have much money, you could buy books, on Amazon. I think my book, which is called He's a Porn Addict, my book, which is called I'm reading this book about porn addiction for a friend. I think I saw it was 99 cents on Amazon the other day, which, boy, I can't wait to get those 2 cents worth of royalties. YouTube, plenty of videos out there. Keep going to different apps and see if there are communities that talk about this stuff. But I'd also say save your money. And that's not for you to come and hang out with me, because go get help anywhere. But look at it as an investment in your future. Are you willing to save $40 or $70 or $100 to go have an awesome night out, to go to a concert, to go have fun? Obviously, this stuff isn't fun, but it's an investment in your future. Try to look at it that way. Good night, friend. Don't worry. Be happy. Everything is going to be okay. Teresa, thank you. I like you very much. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Gabagool for you. Just a little bit of the gabagool. What do you define as a corn addiction? Well, technically, any addiction is when you meet the criteria because you have a certain amount of symptoms. Addiction is just a label. Addiction is just a word. Do you have a certain amount of symptoms? So, if you want to know that, I would tell you to go to the front of my profile, up at the top where there are those pinned videos. One of my videos says the 11 symptoms of corn addiction. You can follow along there. I mention all of the symptoms. All addictions have some symptoms in common, and all addictions have a few of their own unique symptoms. That's probably the best way to decide for yourself. And again, if you're still here, good night, Teresa. Calvin Bowman, is it a problem if you are dreaming about the acts and finishing in your sleep? Are you asking about wet dreams, Calvin? Is that what you're asking about? Sash says, I keep trying but failing and not sure to continue. Well, what are you doing? Because whatever it is ain't working. You got to try something else. You've got to try something else. If you've been trying, if you're just white knuckling, I'm not going to use, well, that's not working. Guess you need a different plan. If what you're doing isn't working, you have to try something else. And if that doesn't work, you try something else. And if that doesn't work, you try something else. And you keep going until you somehow connect with it. But what I would also say, Sash, is why must you quit? What is your motivation for quitting? Do you really want to quit? You have some questions to ask yourself. I hope I'm not butchering that. Or UWA, it might be initials. Tips for rewiring the brain long term. I don't react the same way now. Easier to abstain. Want to maintain. I remember what you said last live about it just being a past thing as you go on. Please expand. Well, you're asking a lot. First, tips for rewiring the brain long term is consistency. Don't look at the stuff and don't masturbate. Your brain will heal over time because your brain has this thing called neuroplasticity, which is a phenomenon where your brain is constantly evolving to assist you in the best way that it can. When you're an addict, the best way it can assist you is by screaming at you to go get your dopamine. When you're not an addict, it's not screaming at you for that because you don't need it. So really, when it comes to rewiring the brain, the physical part of it long term, you need to abstain from use. Now, when it comes to learning stuff like why did you become an addict? What type of trauma did you have? What are you running from? How did pornography and pornography use and the trauma affect your life? How did you become the person you became today? All of that will help you maintain. If you can learn and understand what caused you to need this in the beginning and to need it along the way, that's going to be a lot better in maintaining. I remember what you said. Okay, I already read that. Sorry. Hello, Hunter. Let me. Since there's no backlog of comments, I'll explain it like this. UWA. Imagine that you get and I know some of you have heard this, but hey, if I disappear, you can't hear it again. So here are the greatest hits. Imagine you have a giant cut in your arm, deep cut. That deep cut represents your trauma. You've been cut in your heart, in your soul. Something bad happened. You've been cut. That cut is trauma. Well, what do you do in life if you get a cut? You get a bandage and you wrap it up. Well, what does a bandage actually do for you? Not a damn thing. All a bandage does when you think about it, it hides the problem. That bandage is your addiction. That bandage over your wound, that is addiction hiding your trauma. So the first thing you have to do is take the bandage off. The first thing I do with my clients is to work on limiting the behaviors. Let's get you using much less. Usually within a month, people are using 50 to 75% less, if not more. So while we work on that, then what we have to do, we've removed the bandage, the behavior of the addiction. So what do we have to do next? We have to take care of the trauma. We have to take care of the wound. If you're going to heal the wound, you have to go in and clean the wound. You have to understand what's going on. You have to treat it properly. And it will heal. Will you still have a scar? Yeah, of course. Because here's the thing. Unresolved trauma just becomes resolved trauma. You work through it, but it's not like it never happened to you. You know, everything that I worked through, everything I resolved, it still happened. I can just deal with it now and don't need to use addiction. But even if you have a scar there, you don't need the bandage. When people are like, you never look at porn? You haven't looked at porn in 11 years? You haven't masturbated to pornography in 11 years? No, because I don't need to. I took care of the reasons that I needed to. It wasn't about getting my rocks off. It wasn't about fantasizing about sexy ladies. It was about accessing those brain chemicals. That's how I knew how to do it, was through porn and masturbation. Some people it's food, some people it's video games, some people it's gambling, some people it's substances. We come to it in different ways, but we're all after those chemicals. Hey, Jet Life Baby is back. Calvin says, yes, talking about wet dreams. As long as you don't go to bed and you're not able to control your dreams and you don't tell yourself, boy, I hope I get laid in my dreams tonight, your body is just adjusting. And your brain will overtake your body when you sleep and be like, you're going to freaking have an ejaculation, whether you like it or not, dude. But did you want to view the sexual material that's in your brain? No. Did you masturbate yourself to the point of having that orgasm? No. It's an involuntary reaction of your body, so it is not considered cheating. It is not considered losing your streak. It's your body doing what your body needs to do. I've gone live 90 minutes. Don't forget to take a break. Yeah, we're going to stop this soon. Honey Tiki Taki. If you look at corn for 10 seconds, have you relapsed? Well, you can decide that. No, I would say no. I would say no, because here's the thing. I can see naked women in movies, and I don't consider that a relapse. And I have seen pornography since I have stopped being an addict. I have seen pornography since I stopped using it as pornography, since I stopped pleasuring myself to it. I have seen it. You can't avoid it, especially when people who think they're funny trolls email it to you all the time. But I don't consider any of those relapses because I didn't seek it out, I don't seek it out, and I don't pleasure myself to it. So I don't use it like I once did. But if I see a naked person or I literally see a piece of pornography for 10 seconds, I don't consider myself relapsed. Now the question is, did you say I need porn? I need porn. I'm going to go look at Pornhub. And then 10 seconds in, you were like, no, I can't. I think that is as close to relapsing as you can without actually relapsing. But I think that I would guess in most circumstances, if you explained it, I would probably not consider just seeing it for 10 seconds as a full relapse. How long does the reboot take? Everybody's different, dude. Everybody's different. If you are younger and have a healthier lifestyle, it's going to not take as long as if you're older, which means you've been an addict longer, or if you have health issues, if you are overweight, if you live a sedentary life behind a desk at an office versus a young person who probably is more active. But the number one thing is that you need to not look at this stuff and you need to not touch yourself, regardless of who you are. That's the key. So that's where you have to start. The cognitive dissonance stage is the worst. Mm-hmm. That's probably what most people say. I've heard that many times. I don't know if it was, I don't think I had it as hard as or as bad as a lot of people do. Maybe that's because I was also dealing with alcohol at the same time. I'm not sure. But that is something that I hear versions of again and again. The dude with a hyphen just became the number 2 gifter. Thank you. Senator Armstrong. No hate. Good. I'm glad you're not hating. And if you are a senator, can you frickin' do something to keep TikTok going, please? Lewis, 4 days clean. Nice. I hope you come back tomorrow or the next day and let me know. Let me know. What other platforms are you are? I want to be able to LYK. Let you know. Yeah, I am still hip and happening in so many ways. I want to let you know I fully recovered. Excellent. You can, and I'm going to make a link tree in the next day or two, so people can see all my socials. You can follow me on Clapper. I urge people, don't go to Red Note. Don't go to the Chinese Communist app. Go to Clapper. That is closest thing to TikTok you're going to find. I've been on there for about a year. I haven't pushed it nearly as much as I pushed my TikTok, but that is where I will be mainly setting up shop. Might do my lives there. Not sure about that yet. Haven't experimented with them there. Also, if I get a big enough YouTube following, I may do lives there. So you can follow me both of those places, and ta-da, it's under the name That Corn Coach. Also, I am on Blue Sky, which is kind of like the new version of Twitter, except without so many twits. And you can find me on Lemonade, at least as long as that app is around as well. So that will let you know. And like I said, in the next day or two, I'm going to set up a link tree that everybody can bookmark and follow, and be able to keep learning about this stuff, and keep in contact with me. But the number one thing, thatcorncoach.com. Any type of news, any type of information will be posted there if there are major changes. But yeah, I say Clapper. I say Clapper. That's where I'm going. I don't care if everybody wants to go be a communist and learn Chinese. That ain't my bag. Brandon, thank you for following me. Thank you for following me. Does anybody have a last minute question? Does anybody have a last minute comment? Does anybody have a last minute anything? Does anybody want to say goodbye? Say how awesome I am? Does anybody want to give a gift? Does anybody have a complaint, a suggestion, an idea? Does anybody want to publish some poetry here? Does anybody want to follow me? Does anybody want to... I guess that's about all we can do here. That's okay. Anyway, for those of you who are regulars, I always appreciate you being here. For those of you who are new, welcome. I hope you'll come back. I appreciate you being here. I will try to be doing a live. Thank you for following me, NetSpend. Appreciate that. I will try to be here every day, sometimes more than once a day, until we go dark here. This has been a major part of my life. This has been huge to allowing me to do this as a business, because I meet 80 to 85% of my clients through TikTok. It has also been huge for my recovery. And for that, I am forever grateful of people coming here and spending some time with me, be it the afternoon or be it the evening. That is probably if this all goes away, that is the piece I am going to remember the most. That's the piece I'm going to remember the most, is how many people came here, how many people shared, how many people learned, how many people taught. It's been a hell of a community, and I hope you'll stick with us for the next few days. If we have to go elsewhere, I hope you'll follow. If we have, if we stay here, I hope you'll continue being here. But from the bottom of my heart, I do appreciate you guys so much, so much. And I'll be back tomorrow. If anybody needs to get in touch with me, I would. I'm an easy guy to get in touch with. Corn is elite. No, I mean Corn is evil. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Josh. Cool name, by the way. All right, kiddos. You be good. Call your congressman and tell them to keep TikTok going. Bye now. Bye now. Bye now.